Welcome to CA Guidance Academy, and today we are going to deal with the MCQs on Accounting Standard 5, that is net profit or loss for the period, prior period items, and changes in accounting policies. Okay, and changes in accounting estimates. So the chapter we have already done in the last class, that is where we have done Accounting Standard 5. Today we are only going to discuss the MCQs. So thus, after completing these MCQs, you will have more clearer concept on the topic. Let's begin. Accounting Standard 5 primarily deals with recognition, revenue recognition, disclosure of accounting policies, net profit and loss for the period, prior period items, and changes in accounting policies, valuation of inventories. So we see the AS-5 primarily deals with net profit or loss for the period, prior period items, and changes in accounting policies. Second question, prior period items should be included in profit and loss account in the period they are identified, the opening balance of retained earnings, adjustments to current period income, and notes to accounts only. Here we see that the profit and loss account in the period they are identified, prior period items have to be given account in the profit and loss account in the period which they are identified. A change in accounting policy is permitted only when it is required by law. It results in a more appropriate presentation of financial statements. C, both A and B, and D, to manipulate profits. Okay, the answer will be C, that is if it is required by law as well as it results in more appropriate presentation of financial statements. So option C is the answer. Which of the following is not considered a change in accounting policy under AS-5? So we have to be very cautious while doing type of questions, because here it is given not considered. So something which is not considered as an accounting policy. Okay? Change in the method of depreciation, change in the valuation method of inventory, adoption of a new accounting policy for transactions or events that did not occur previously, and shifting from cash basis to accrual basis. So we see here which is not accounting policy is only one option, that is C, that is adoption of a new accounting policy for transactions or events that did not occur previously. जो प्रीवियसली था नहीं वो अभी आया, तो उसको हम यहाँ पे accounting change in accounting policy नहीं आएगा. ठीक है. Which of the following is an example of a prior period item? Depreciation charged at a higher rate in the current year, expense missed in the previous year due to oversight, change in the method of valuation of inventory, provision made for doubtful debts in the current year. Here the answer will be simply prior period item is an expense missed in the previous year due to oversight. Changes in accounting estimates are accounted for. Accounting estimate कोई change आता है तो उसको हम कहाँ account करते हैं? We give it to prospectively, that is prospectively means current year as well as a future year. So retrospectively, prospectively, either retrospectively or prospectively, as prior period we see it is prospectively. Disclosure of accounting prior period items as per AS-5 should be made separately in the financial statements along with the regular expense and income only in the notes to accounts, and no disclosure required. Here we see the answer will be separately in the financial statements of the prior period items should be disclosed in the accounting as per accounting standard 5. Net profit or loss for the period is determined after considering. A net profit or loss of the period can be determined only after considering all the things which we require, just like the prior period items, external items, changes in accounting estimates, all have to be given effect to. Only then we can arrive at the net profit and loss of the period. So all of the above is the answer here. Which of the following is an extra item under AS-5? Loss due to fire in the factory, interest and borrowings, depreciation expense, provision for doubtful debts. We see only loss due to fire in the factory. Extraordinary item is an item which is out of the ordinary course of business as well as anything which was not likely to happen. So it is loss due to fire in the factory. Then what should be disclosed when there is a change in an accounting policy? The nature of the change, the financial impact of the change, the reasons for the change, all of the above. It is all of the above, means the nature of the change we have to give in, the financial impact of the change we have to need to give, as well as we have to give the reasons for the change. So all of the above is the answer here. Which of the following is an example of a change in the accounting estimate under AS-5? Accounting estimate in the AS-5 में क्या आ रहा है? Change in method of depreciation from straight line method to written down value method, change in the useful life of an asset, change in the method of inventory valuation, change from cash basis to accrual basis. The answer is change in the useful life of an asset. Under AS-5, extraordinary item are disclosed separately in the statement of profit and loss, adjusted in the retained earnings directly, clubbed with the other income or expense no longer recognized as per revised AS-5. As per revised AS-5, the extraordinary items need not to be recognized in the profit loss account of the period, or they did not have to be shown anymore, or recognition need not be arised of the extraordinary items as per the revised AS-5. Okay, but you should know what is extraordinary items. Any items which are outside the purview of the business, ordinary business, as well as which was not likely to happen. Okay, if an entity changes its accounting policy for valuation of inventory, it must be applied to change retrospectively, apply change prospectively, adjust the opening balance of retained earnings and both A and C. So we say the change in accounting policy जब भी होता है हमें उससे इफेक्ट कहाँ देना है, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव देना है. ठीक है, तो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट मैंने अगर वो पॉलिसी चेंज की अभी 2021-22 में हमने वो चेंज लाए हैं तो वहाँ से हमें उसका इफेक्ट देना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, एज वेल एज रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव 2021-22 से हम देंगे, साथ में इस साल का करंट ईयर में जो हमारा ओपनिंग बैलेंस ऑफ रिटेन अर्निंग्स उससे भी सेट ऑफ करेंगे, सो दैट करंट पीरियड ऑल्सो रिफ्लेक्ट द ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू ऑफ द picture. That is the change in the accounting policy. So it will be A and C, that is option D, which says both A and C. Apply change retrospectively and adjust the opening balance of retained earnings. Then question number 14, when an error is discovered in prior period financial statements as per AS-5, it should be corrected in the current period profit and loss, adjusted against retained earnings in the opening balance of the current year, shown as an extraordinary item, disclosed in the notes to accounts without making adjustments. So here we will see we need to adjust it against the retained earnings in the opening balance of the current period. Which of the following items would qualify as a prior period item? Revision of the estimated useful life of machinery, omission of an electricity bill from prior year accounts due to clerical errors, sale of obsolete inventory at a loss due to changes in government regulations. We see completely कुछ भी अगर miss हो जाता है आगे previous years में omitted or it has been mistakenly not taken into account. So all these things come under the purview of prior period items. So we see the answer will be omission of an electricity bill from the prior period accounts due to clerical errors. 16. AS-5 prescribes that net profit or loss for the period should include, net profit loss में क्या क्या include होना चाहिए, income earned during the current period only, adjustments for prior period items and change in estimates, all extraordinary and prior period items together, both current year's income and income from future periods. Okay, अभी नेट प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस होगा, उसमें फ्यूचर ईयर्स का आ नहीं रहा है, साथ में एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरीज को हम AS-5 में नहीं दे रहे हैं न्यू में, और इनकम अर्न ड्यूरिंग द करंट ईयर तो हम नहीं होगा. ऑब्वियसली वी हैव टू मेक द एडजस्टमेंट्स फॉर द प्रायर पीरियड आइटम्स एज वेल एज एनी एस्टिमेट्स मेड, चेंजेस इन एस्टिमेट्स मेड. सो एडजस्टमेंट्स फॉर प्रायर पीरियड आइटम्स एंड चेंज इन एस्टिमेट्स हैव टू गिव एन इफेक्ट टू एज पर AS-5 फॉर नेट प्रॉफिट लॉस ऑफ द ईयर. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट अ रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ डिस्क्लोजर अंडर सेक्शन AS-5 में, नॉट अ रिक्वायरमेंट. ठीक है, nature and amount of prior period items, impact of changes in accounting policies on profit and loss, reasons for charging deferred tax to profit and loss, and impact of extraordinary items. So we see nature and amount of prior period items has to be disclosed, impact of changes in accounting policy on net profit, that has to be also disclosed, as well as impact of extraordinary items have to be disclosed. Okay, it need not to be recognized in the profit and loss account, but it has to be disclosed impact, what it impact the extraordinary items actually had on the profit and loss of the business of the current year. So the here irrelevant factor is reasons for charging deferred tax to the profit and loss account. An entity has changed its depreciation method from straight line method to written down value method. According to AS-5, this change is treated as a change in accounting estimate, change in accounting policy, prior period adjustment, extraordinary item. It is a change in accounting estimate. Which of the following should be disclosed separately as per AS-5? Provisions for doubtful debts, loss on disposal of fixed assets, compensation received for compulsory land acquisition by the government, revaluation surplus ऑन फिक्स एसेट्स. तो हम देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे बाकी जो सेपरेटली डिस्क्लोज कौन से आइटम को करना पड़ेगा. प्रोविजंस फॉर डाउटफुल डेब्ट्स ऑर्डिनरी कोर्स ऑफ बिजनेस में होता है. लॉस ऑन डिस्पोजल ऑफ फिक्स एसेट्स दैट ऑल्सो टू. रिवैल्यूएशन सरप्लस ऑफ फिक्स एसेट्स, फिक्स एसेट्स पे अगर कोई भी रिवैल्यू करते तो वो बड़ा है सरप्लस आ रहा है तो दैट इज ऑल्सो कॉमन बिजनेस. तो ओनली सेपरेटली हमें क्या दिखाना है, कंपनसेशन रिसीव्ड फॉर द कंपल्सरी लैंड एक्विजिशन बाय द गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है, एज पर AS-5. When a prior period item is identified, okay, AS-5 requires items to be included in the retained earnings of the previous year, restated in comparative financial statements for the period, and disclosed separately in the current year's profit and loss account and ignored if immaterial. Yes, we have to disclose it separately in the current year's profit and loss account. According to AS-5, the revision of the residual value of an asset is residual value matlab how much life of the asset is left over, though that is change. So we simply say it is a change in accounting estimate, right? AS-5 requires change in accounting policy to be applied retrospectively unless अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी को ऑलवेज हम क्या करते हैं, चेंज इन अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी अगर होता है रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट देते हैं और चेंज इन एस्टिमेट होता है तो प्रॉस्पेक्टिवली देते हैं, ठीक है. बट समटाइम्स द चेंज इन अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी इज नॉट गिवन retrospectively when the change does not materially affect the financial statements, it is impracticable to determine the impact of the change, or the change is made for compliance with statutory requirements. So we see D is both B and C. The answer will be it is impracticable to determine the impact of the change. Change का कितना impact है वो नहीं पता चल रहा है, practicable नहीं है. साथ में the change is made for compliance with statutory requirements. Okay, so both B and C. Disclosure of the financial effect of a change in accounting policy is required in the notes of the financial statements. Obviously, director's report, auditor's report, disclosure is not required. No, it has to be mentioned in the notes of the financial statements. Okay, a prior period item is defined as an item of income or expense that arises when A, due to fraud in the current period in the normal course of business during the current year as a result of errors or omissions in the preparation of financial statements of one or more prior periods, okay, and due to change in the accounting estimate. So we see it is the option C, that is as a result of errors or omissions in the preparation of financial statements of one or more prior periods. A change in the method of valuation of inventory from FIFO to weighted average is calculated as a simply it is change in accounting policy. FIFO से weighted averaging method change किया, inventory valuation, that is simply change in accounting policy. ठीक है. 26 question, an example of a change in accounting estimate is adoption of a new depreciation method, reduction in expected useful life of an asset, revaluation of fixed assets, switching from one inventory valuation method to another. That is we know that method of inventory valuation क्या होता है, वो होता है change in accounting policy. ठीक है. तो here we get reduction in the expected useful life of an asset as an is the answer for change in accounting estimate. Okay, so reduction in the value of the value of an asset. An example of a change in accounting estimate is reduction in the expected useful life of the asset. Okay, same thing question. Okay, 28 question. As accounting standard 5 requires disclosure of prior period items in the financial statements. Okay, financial statements disclosure करेंगे as an adjustment to opening retained earnings, separately in the profit and loss account, as a footnote to the financial statements, only if material. No, we have to show it separately in the profit and loss account. Prior period items separately in the profit and loss account. If the company recognized income from a government grant received in the prior year but missed according to it due oversight, it would be classified as a simply as a prior period item because कुछ चीज़ गवर्नमेंट ग्रांट मिला था लेकिन उसको हमने लाया ही नहीं. ओके, इट हैज़ बीन ओमिटेड और मिस्टेकनली नॉट टेकन टू द प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, सो इट विल बी अ प्रायर पीरियड आइटम ओनली. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग वुड नॉट क्वालिफाई एज अ प्रायर पीरियड आइटम. अभी तो हमने कहा प्रायर पीरियड आइटम क्या जो नहीं है, प्रायर पीरियड आइटम नहीं है. डिप्रिशिएशन अंडर चार्ज इन प्रायर पीरियड्स ड्यू टू कैलकुलेशन एरर, ये है ऑब्वियसली कैलकुलेशन के लिए हमने गलत से डिप्रेशन चार्ज किए थे, अंडर चार्ज किए थे, तो वो ऑब्वियसली इस साल में हमें दिखाने हैं. रिपेयर्स एक्सपेंस मिस्ड इन द प्रायर पीरियड ड्यू टू ओवरसाइट, दैट इज ऑल्सो प्रायर पीरियड आइटम. चेंज इन एस्टिमेटेड स्क्रैप वैल्यू ऑफ एन एसेट, दिस इज नॉट एन, so this is the only answer which will not qualify as a prior period item, that is the change in estimated scrap value of an asset. Okay, as AS-5 items of income and expense to be recognized in profit and loss account unless income and expense to be recognized in profit and loss account में दिखाना है जब they are required to be adjusted in opening balance of reserves, they are related to prior periods, they are immaterial, they relate to external items. So they are required to be adjusted in the opening balance of reserves. Reserves के opening balance में उसको adjust कर देने हैं, तब उसको यहाँ पे दिखाने नहीं है. Disclosure of the nature and the amount of prior period items is required when प्राइवेट का नेचर अमाउंट तभी जरूरत पड़ता है when the amount is immaterial, when the adjustment affects retained earnings or it materially affects the current period's profit and loss, or it is a or extraordinary item. We see it is materially affects the current period's profit and loss. So current year का जो profit and loss है उसको materially वो affect कर रहा है, तो उसका amount and nature हमें यहाँ पे show करने हैं. Under AS-5, a change in accounting policy does not require retrospective adjustment when अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी चेंज अगर होता है तो हमें रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट देने पड़ते हैं, लेकिन कब नहीं पड़ेगा. बट इट इन्वॉल्व्स अ माइनर रिक्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट आइटम्स. द चेंज रिलेट्स टू इमैटेरियल ट्रांजैक्शंस. इट इज impracticable to determine the cumulative effect. Okay, so both B and C. Answer is D, that is both B and C. B means the change leads to immaterial transactions where it is not material, and C is it is impracticable to determine the cumulative effects. Then only we do not require retrospective effect. Okay. Which of the following would qualify as a change in accounting policy? कौन सी change in accounting policy है? Change in the presentation of financial statements, change in the method of depreciation for new assets acquired during the year, okay, change in classification of current and non-current liabilities, change in the method of providing depreciation for all the assets from return on value to straight line method. So we say it is the return on value to straight line method में change in the providing depreciation, that is here would qualify as change in accounting policy. The effect of a change in accounting estimate is accounted for prospectively in the current and future years. Okay, accounting estimate always we take it in the prospectively in the current and the future years. Which of the following is true about disclosed requirements of AS-5? Only changes in accounting policy need to be disclosed. Extraordinary items must be disclosed separately. Both charges in accounting estimates and prior period items need to be disclosed. Disclosed is required only when material items. No. Now, both changes in accounting estimates and prior period items need to be disclosed. That is option C is the answer. अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट्स और प्रायर पीरियड आइटम्स को हमें डिस्क्लोज करने हैं. एरर्स दैट रिजल्ट इन प्रायर पीरियड आइटम्स टिपिकली इंक्लूड मिसइंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ फैक्ट्स, मैथमेटिकल मिस्टेक्स, omissions of accruals or prepayments. So we say all of this are come under prior period items. So it is all of the above. That is option D. If the retrospective application of a new accounting policy is impracticable, the company should impracticable उसको हम retrospective दे नहीं सकते. Then what will the company do? Ignore the change? No. Apply the new policy prospectively, okay, and disclose that retrospective application is not feasible. तो उसको prospectively क्या करना चाहिए? First they should apply the new policy prospectively, means from the current year and the future years, and over that what will they do? They disclose the retrospective application not feasible. Retrospective application feasible नहीं है, वो भी उन्हें mention करने हैं. ठीक है. A prior period expense that was immaterial in the previous year becomes material in the current year. पहले ईयर में वो immaterial था, बस this year it became material. So according to AS-5, it should be ignored. It was immaterial previously. Adjusted against retained earnings. Disclosed as a prior period item in the profit and loss account. Treated as extraordinary. No, it will be taken as the prior period items in the profit and loss account. Disclosed in the prior period items as a profit and loss account. Okay. A change in accounting policy is permitted only when it is required by law or accounting standard, results in more appropriate representation of financial statements. C, both A and B. D, does not have a material effect on the financial statements. So we see it is both A and B, that is if it is required by law or any standard, or when it results in appropriate presentation of financial statements. Then the key difference between a change in accounting estimate and change in accounting policy is that की डिफरेंस क्या है? हम पहले जानते हैं अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी चेंज होने से दैट विल बी कमिंग रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट, एंड अगर एस्टिमेट है, अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट है, तो इट विल हैव अ इफेक्ट ऑफ व्हाट विल हैव, इट विल बी चेंजिंग प्रोस्पेक्टिवली. ठीक है. सो estimate applied retrospectively while a change in policy is applied prospectively. A change in policy affects future and past periods while a change in estimate affects only future periods. A change in policy is material while a change in estimate is immaterial. No, also change in estimate involves judgment while a change in policy involves principles. Yes, this is the answer. A change in estimate involves the judgment of the person who is bringing the estimate, okay, while change in policy is involves the principles or rules. Okay, so the key difference is it is a change in the principles, change in the policy involves principles, while change in the accounting estimate involves the judgment of the person. Which of the following is not a change in accounting policy? Shifting from straight line method to return on depreciation of all assets, adoption of new policy for recording research and development expenses, a reassessment of salvage value of machine, and then changing inventory valuation from weighted average method to FIFO method. So all these things we see are accounting policy. Only नहीं है, not accounting policy, that is the valuation residual value of our life of the asset, that is reassessment of salvage value of a machine. Salvage value of the machine जो है उसका reassessment करना और useful life of the machine निकालना. Okay, under AS-5 the effect of a change in accounting policy is accounted for retrospectively unless impracticable prospectively the current period only by adjusting the profit and loss of the period and as a prior period item. So accounting policy हम always क्या करते हैं, retrospective effect unless impracticable. Which of the following situations requires disclosure as a change of accounting policy? Revision of estimated bad debts provision based on historical data, introduction of policy to capitalize interest costs for new loans taken, adjustments of depreciations for errors in past periods and past periods or prior periods, and changes in the expected life of an intangible asset. So we say what is situation requires disclosure change in accounting policy. Here, introduction of a policy to capitalize the interest costs for new loans taken. No loans इसके लिए क्या होगा, इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ पॉलिसी ऑफ टू कैपिटलाइज इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट. ओके, यह अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी का चेंज आ रहा है. Which of the following item involves a change in accounting estimate rather than a change in accounting policy? Accounting policy में change in accounting estimate है, जैसे कि shifting from weighted average method to FIFO of inventory valuation, reassessment of the recoverable amount of an asset, adaptation of an accrual basis instead of cash basis, and charging research and development expenditure to profit and loss instead of capitalizing it. So we see that involves a change in the accounting estimate is the reassessment of the recoverable amount of an asset. Asset कितने देर recovery में रह सकता है? Yeah, that means we can say simply we can say how through the life of the expectancy of the plant is which is being in the factory is increased or decreased. A change in accounting policy should be disclosed along with the amount adjusted in the retained earnings of the prior periods, the nature of the change and the reasons for making the change. Both A and B, and D no disclosed record. No, it is C, that is both A and B. Amount is in retained earnings of the prior periods as well as the nature of the changes have to be given. Reasons for the making the changes have to be given. Question number 48. Revising the estimate residual value of an asset due to technological advancements is treated as a change in prior period items, changes in accounting policy, change in accounting estimate, extraordinary item. It is obviously change in accounting estimate because the residual value of an asset is due to revise करना पड़ा due to some technological advancements. Which of the following must be disclosed when there is a change in accounting policy? The reasons for the change, the financial impact of the change on the current period, and the nature of the change. So all of them. It is all of the above. Any reasons, any financial impact of the change in the current period, as well as nature of the change is also a policy. Okay, change the policy. All the above, it is the answer. Which of the following is an accounting policy? Estimation of warranty provisions based on historical data. Historical data based करके उसके लिए warranty निकाला गया. Measurement of inventory using FIFO or weighted average. Reassessment of life of a tangible asset, fixed asset, and adjusting provisions for doubtful debts based on aging analysis. So we see number B, the measurement of inventory using FIFO to weighted average. That is a change in the following is an accounting policy. That is FIFO से weighted average में हम shift किए. ठीक है. If the company decides to amortize goodwill over 10 years instead of 5 years, it is treated as goodwill है, इसको amortize करना है 10 साल में 5 साल की जगह, तो it is treated as a change in accounting estimate, change in accounting policy, extraordinary item, private adjustment. It is obviously change in accounting estimate because estimate change हो रहा है 10 साल का, उसको 5 years में दे आ रहा है. Accounting policies relate to judgments made during the preparation of financial statements, principles, conventions, and rules followed in preparing financial statements, only estimates made to measure current liabilities, okay, or temporary adjustments made to comply with external judgments. We see the answer is principles, conventions, and rules followed in preparing financial statements. Financial principles जो दे रहा है उसको देख के करेंगे तो it will not be wrong. ठीक है. So principles, conventions, and rules followed in preparing the financial statements are the things accounting would relate to accounting policies. Which of the following changes require retrospective adjustment? Change in the estimate useful life of an asset. It's a change in assets. Second, change in the method of depreciation from straight line method to return on all the assets. Reassessment of warranty provisions. Revision of residual value of machinery. Okay. So we say the change in the method of depreciation from straight line method to return on method for all the assets come under change in accounting policy. So they require retrospective effect. Disclosure of a change in accounting estimate should include the nature of the change, the impact of the current and future financials, both A and B, and only if change materially affects prior periods. That is answer, both A and B will come in with the answer. That is, the nature of the change we have to be given, the impact of the current and future financial statements. Okay, these two we have to disclose in the accounting estimate. Then the change in accounting policy should be applied prospectively when? Prospectively तभी होगा जब impractical होगा उसका वैल्यू निकालना, as well as it is not possible. Let's see, it is impractical to determine the cumulative effect of the change. It results in better presentation of the financial statements. It does not materially affect prior period figures, and change leads to immaterial matters. No, it simply goes to the results in a better presentation of financial. Okay, the answer is A, that is, it is impracticable to determine the cumulative effect of the change when we cannot know from the details that it is the child. It is impracticable to determine the cumulative effect of the change. Okay, it's जो चेंज हुआ है उसको हम पकड़ नहीं सक रहे कि यहाँ पे क्या कितना चेंज हुआ है, उसका मेजर नहीं कर सक रहे. ठीक है, वी कैन आर नॉट एबल टू मेजर इट. सो इफ वी आर नॉट मेजर द इफेक्ट, so how can we show it? So if then in that case we will take it in the prospectively, meaning this current year as well as in the future years, not from the beginning. Okay, an increase in the provisions for doubtful debts due to revised aging analysis is an example of a change in accounting estimate, change in accounting policy, prior period items, extra item. Again in this case, increase in the provisions for doubtful debts. Provisions for doubtful debts अगर increase हुआ है मतलब debtor प्रोविजन फॉर डाउटफुल डेब्ट्स अगर हम इंक्रीज करें मतलब कहीं ना कहीं हमारा जो रिकवरी फ्रॉम द डेटर्स इज डिक्रीज. ओके, तो इट इज़ अ चेंज इन द अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट्स अगेन. ओके, द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट्स एंड अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसीज इज estimates are applied retrospectively while policies are applied prospectively. No, it is wrong. Policies involve guidelines for preparation while estimates involve judgment for assumptions. So it is a B answer only, that is the policies affect only the policies involve guidelines for the preparation while estimates involve only judgment and assumptions. Okay, so it is answer B. Question number 58, which of the following requires disclosure under AS-5? Change in the account estimate life value of an asset, change of the method of inventory valuation, prior period adjustments. Okay, all of the above. So it is the answer is D. That all this four comes under the 3, that is the prior period items, inventory method valuation, estimate life of the asset. All these things comes under AS-5 disclosure. If a company identifies prior period error that has a material effect, it should correct the error in the current period's financial statements, adjust opening retained earnings of the current period, restate the financial statements of prior periods which practicable. D, either B or C depending on the circumstances. So answer is either B or C depending on the circumstance. Okay, so that is correct the error in the current financial statements, and B the adjust openings retained ओपनिंग जो है रिटेन अर्निंग्स का उसको हम एडजस्ट करेंगे फर्स्ट में, एंड सेकंड क्या करेंगे, रिस्टेट द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स प्रायर पीरियड्स वे एट प्रैक्टिकल, जहाँ ना प्रैक्टिकल है वहाँ वो रिप्लेस करेंगे. ठीक है, देन द रिवैल्यूएशन ऑफ एन एसेट टू रिफ्लेक्ट अ चेंज इन इट्स एस्टिमेट रिक्वायर्ड अमाउंट इज ट्रीटेड एज रिवैल्यूएशन ऑफ एन एसेट का वैल्यू बढ़ चुका है, टू रिफ्लेक्ट अ चेंज इन द एस्टिमेट रिकवरेबल अमाउंट इज ट्रीटेड अ चेंज इन अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी, अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट, extraordinary items and prior period adjustments. Simply जब change in the estimate required amount of treated is obviously as per accounting estimate. So these are the questions which we have done for AS-5, and I hope this is clear to you. And moreover, it is thanks for watching. If you like my videos, do share and subscribe. Thank you.